Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, all the beautiful people out here. My name is ATX Crypto. Today we're diving into some whale activity, checking out on the HEX, PulseChain, and PulseX ecosystem. Just checking out what the wallets are doing, what the whales are doing, having some fun, answering some questions. So if y'all have any questions at all, feel free to leave them down in the chat. I will be checking them periodically as we actually keep on going. But I hope all of y'all are having a fantastic day, folks. Today's Tuesday, September 12th. I did an interview with Crispy Man and Access Alive yesterday. And if you missed that, do yourself a favor and definitely go check that out. Save it to a watch later. Go check it out. Phenomenal interview. Thank you so much for coming on to the stream and the channel. It was a blast having them on, and it was a blast interviewing them as well. So if y'all missed it, definitely go check it out. But today it kind of got me, I was thinking about some stuff I had done back when I first started the channel, which was just looking into what whales are doing, right? What the activity is. Are they staking their HEX? Are they not in HEX at all? Are they still buying HEX? What they're doing with their tokens, PulseChain, PulseX. And really the whales are someone who just has a significant amount of crypto in the world that, should they want to do something, they can affect quite a bit. So yeah, that's kind of what this whole stream is going to be about. As a matter of fact, if y'all ever have any questions along the way, you're welcome to come on in, ask me. I'm here to help answer any questions that I can, help clear things up as well. But yeah, hope y'all are having a fantastic day. Let me see what's going on. Say hello to some beautiful people real fast. We got Gloria in the house. I've taken my seat, waiting at the table. Please, good people, deploy the like on entry. Much love, Gloria. Always, always, always much love. Crypto Khalil, hello, brother. What up, my brother? To you as well. Present. Hey, Jason Smith. Lightning looks good, pimp. Hey, lighting looks good. Appreciate that, brother. Really do appreciate that. Trying some different stuff out, if you can see. And you've seen a couple of different things with the banners, with all this stuff, the background. Really trying to make some stuff change up just a smidge and make it a little bit more easier on the eyes, if you will, and just better looking overall. So let me know what y'all's thoughts are on the whole new layout. If you're new to the channel, thank you so much. Be sure to come on in, like, share, subscribe to the content if you find this helpful. And again, share this with other people who you also know can benefit from this too. Give me 1 second while I pull up some information. Again, we're just having fun today, folks. We can talk a little bit, some craziness. There's been not too much really happening in terms of like the overall big moves that have been making things happen. However, well, I guess we can actually talk real quick. So PulseX actually just ended up recently hitting a new all-time low. Not all-time low because it's technically gone lower slightly before, but we broke down the resistance barrier, and we talked about this yesterday briefly on stream as well. I'll pull it up just so that way everyone can get a quick glimpse at what that actually looked like when we were actually sitting there checking this information out. So here we go. And again, we're kind of finding some support once again. So let me pull this up here and let me see if I can switch this part. Cool. Yeah, let me know how y'all like this whole layout right now. If you appreciate it, if you enjoy it. Excuse me. Always trying to make things better and more enticing for everyone as well. So this is actually the PulseX chart. Again, this is comparatively into the dollar value. Now, I know we can look at what the actual comparison is in ratios to PulseChain, which is what you want to do if you actually look into trade between different tokens. But if you're looking to make a purchase and just kind of seeing if it's a good time or seeing what's going on, well, it could be a very good time. So what I have here on this blue line is actually the 509930. We had a lot of support here at this level for many different times. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then finally on the 8th attempt, it broke through. And this is on a daily chart as well. And then on the 8th attempt, it actually broke down. It actually got as low as 508 as well, or 5087. Now it has actually gone back up a smidge. It's still at 509. But right now the 9 EMA and 15 EMA are currently under at this point. So what that means is we're still in a little bearish indicator. We're still on this little channel that we've been sitting on. But at this point in time, we've broken below the barrier of support that we actually held for quite a little bit of time, I'd say. You know, if you ask me, I think back to August 25th is whenever we first started retesting this. As a matter of fact, it first got checked out on August 2nd. So we've gone a little bit over a month where we've held this level of support and then once again bounced off, flipped to support, and now it's going to be resistance that we're going to be paying attention to. Ideally, we do want to actually get back up and continue going higher and higher and higher. Now, once again, we have made lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, which typically, once again, if you aren't familiar with that, means we are still going down at this point in time. At least that's what things are shaping up to be. So I was just kind of curious to see what the whales were doing, and again, the reason why I say we've broken this, we have this level of support. This is like the last level of support, the 507, which would actually bring it down here. So again, if it actually does come down, it would be about another 22% drop. So get ready if you are deploying capital, something I've always said is do it in threes, right? Layer it out. So if you have $1,000, maybe you make a $500 purchase now just to get in. You wait a little bit. If the price should drop down a little bit lower, drop down another 250. If it goes down a little bit lower, drop that last 250. Now, if you are still accumulating your bag and trying to build your position and not quite yet satisfied with the amount that you have, then what you could do is just go in with more than, we'll say 80%, and then leave the remainder of the 20% to buy that dip should the dip happen. So, or DCA over the span of the next month. Really, ideally, we should be DCAing over the span of the next 12 to 18 months. We still have the bull market coming up, 2025. And ideally 2024, 2025, we got the Bitcoin halving. So this is something to pay attention to. If you had $1,000, keep that in mind. If you lost 25% value or 25% value, then again, you're left with 750. And for some people who may not be familiar with how this all works, that could be a devastating thing. So long story short, I wanted to share this information because I do think it's helpful just to kind of keep your eye on what's actually going on in the overall market as well. We can get rid of some of this extra stuff, but yes, I did want to share that information. So hopefully that does help y'all understand this just a little bit better as well. So let me come on through once again, pull up some information that I found. There was a new blockchain explorer that came out called scan.9mm or 9mm.pro. And this new block explorer has actually got one of the features that I found pretty interesting. And one of them was top wallets. And that kind of got me thinking as well as I was actually going through and doing everything. So yeah, what's good, John Neese? How you doing, DJ Cryptomatic? Looks fresh, my bro. Appreciate that. Happy Tuesday. Missed the Christmas tree, but all good. Yeah, maybe I'll throw a Christmas tree or something like that in the back. That way everyone has it. But yes, I still have the Christmas tree up. To anyone who doesn't know, it's a staple of the channel. It's been in the channel since the very beginning, and I keep a tree up year round, boys and girls. So it's actually up right now, as a matter of fact, right up next to me. PulseX and PulseChain and shaky waters just now. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say shaky waters, right, per se. Only because, like, if you actually think about it, these are just that it's a bear market, gents, and we were actually on a little bullish pattern and momentum, and then Richard Hart got served with the SEC allegations coming and accusing all the items that they tried bringing against him or alleging against him. And so that actually happened on July 31st. And since then, we've been in a little bearish sentiment once again for the RH ecosystem. People's mindset's very short, so it shouldn't last too long, but that way you know. Gang shit, what's up, Optimality? How you doing, brother? Yes, throw the trees in the chats to everyone who knows that as well. Throw the cheese in the chats for sure. So what we actually had here was this 9mm .pro, and this is something that actually ended up coming out, which was pretty interesting, right? As I was going through and doing it, something they actually had was this little item right over here. And again, whoops, zoomed in way too far. So if you actually end up coming over here on the left side, you'll see you got a few different items. You have the blockchain, the transaction, you can see blocks, and this is actually the blockchain explorer for PulseChain as well. So if you're actually wanting to go check it out, you're welcome to actually go see the blockchain explorer, possibly even see your own transactions as well. I know the blockchain explorer for scan.pulsechain.com can sometimes be a bit of a pain in the arse. So this is just something to keep in mind. We have roughly about 637,000 daily transactions happening, and these are all the things that are happening per block and all the items that are going through as well. So really interesting stuff. And again, this is welcome to 9mm PulseChain Explorer. I'm using this simply as the Explorer. It does say 5% of blocks index. We're indexing the chain now. So once again, we're still going through and having the items where some things may not fully show or may not be accurate. Pay attention to that as well. It's something that has been happening. If you actually go look at scan.pulsechain.com, for example, this actually still shows up at the very top as well. We're currently working on indexing pre-PulseChain fork data, which means that token balances and other information may not be accurate. Keep that in mind, right? So yeah, just wanted to share that information to anyone who may or may not have known. But one thing that they actually had on scan.9mm .pro or scan.9mm, and that's the number 9, just like you see here, 9mm.pro. I'm not doing anything. I'm not advocating for anything. It's simply an explorer that I'm using. They do have tokens that they're coming out with that has some tokenomics behind it that I don't fully quite understand at this point in time, or maybe I haven't done the due diligence to check it out. But one thing they had was this top accounts. And I am a big fan of looking at top accounts because this kind of gives you an idea of what's actually going on. Now, there's several wallets actually that have over 1 trillion pulls. So I actually thought that was absolutely wild, as a matter of fact, because a trillion, y'all, that's 1,000 million, billion, trillion, a trillion tokens. And there's probably roughly about 8 accounts that actually have over 1 trillion pulse tokens. Now, again, that is the actual PLS tokens as well. So keep that in mind. Now, again, they have a wrapped balance. These are all the wrapped. These are tokens that people have used to interact with liquidity providing and farms and that kind of stuff. So yeah, very interesting to see all this play out. I wanted to just kind of dive in and see some stuff. Now, one thing I noticed right from the jump is the first 8 accounts that we just talked about that do have over 1 trillion actually haven't performed any transactions at this point in time, or at least that's what it's reflecting on here, just for the transaction count. So what I really wanted to do is only pay attention to the ones that do have some transaction counts, because the 0, you're not going to see anything on it. You're going to click it and you're going to say, okay, cool. This person has 164 billion pulse tokens, but they haven't done anything with it. And that's a good thing. It's been roughly about a little over 4 months now. I believe the PulseChain ecosystem launched on May 12th. So we are now on day 123 for 1, 2, 3. A, B, C, it's easy as 1, 2. We hit the 1, 2, 3 day mark as well for PulseChain. So very cool stuff. We're a little bit over 4 months and continue to keep on progressing, improving, and advancing. We still have more stuff coming on down the road. I've showed this in the past, but it looks like PulseX actually got a quick little update. We possibly might be seeing V2 farms come out soon, which would be very good, because then you can provide liquidity, you can provide a farm and actually earn the yield on both as intended. So that way you get the best of both worlds. But yeah, let's see what the whales are up to, right? Like, that's the whole idea behind this premise right now. I really just wanted to go through here and just see what the whales are actually doing. Now, this is all the Pulse tokens. I actually went to scan.pulsechain.com and actually pulled up the PulseX address. And once again, you can come on over here to token holders and just see that you can pull up all of these tokens. Once again, 39 trillion tokens, 6 trillion, 1 trillion, and then we go down 1,970 billion. So we start going down and progressing further and further down as we keep going. So I'm going to kind of dive into some of this as well. And once again, we can even look at the Ethereum address. Whoops, this is the Ethereum side. So I can actually type in HEX. If you haven't done this in the past, you can go and do this yourself, where you can come in here to holders. This is the same for PulseChain on the Scan Explorer as well. But by clicking holders, it'll show you all of the top 1,000 holders within the ecosystem holding HEX liquid, not staked right now, but just liquid. So we have majority of the HEX that are liquid actually were in the sacrifice. And what they ended up doing was they moved a portion of this over to this wallet as well. So there's about 350 billion HEX tokens that have been just kind of stagnant. And we can see roughly at this point in time, for all of the information, that's well over right about 60% at this point of liquid tokens that were just kind of sacrificed, and we don't intend these actually to go anywhere. And then you have the bridge as well, which is sitting on roughly about 2 billion tokens inside the bridge. We're just going to be checking some stuff out though. But if y'all ever have any questions, During the whole time we're actually going through and chatting with each other, feel free to ask away. I am happy to assist. But yeah, we're just having some fun today, folks. I just wanted to break it down, bring back some little memories that we once did, go down memory lane. So let's just kick it off with the very first wallet, as a matter of fact. Now, this wallet has 454 billion PulseChain tokens, roughly about 0.33% of the overall circulating supply at this point, and has 248 transactions. So they've been a little bit of a busy bee. And so I'm very curious to see kind of what they're actually ending up getting into, right? I'm also curious. So they have 454 billion Pulse tokens, 341 billion PulseX tokens, and then of course some other tokens that sometimes just get thrown in here. So I wouldn't focus too much on these tokens all down here, because some of these just show up inside the wallet through what is it called whenever it ends up getting it thrown in there? It would be something along the lines of like a AWDD, which is approved with deadline and domain, which basically means they can send something within a wallet and it doesn't have to pay any transaction or gas fees or anything like that, and it just shows up inside the wallet. Be very careful about interacting with some of these contracts that you see, like this kind of stuff, anything like that, right? I just always caution everyone to be mindful, at least at the bare minimum, be mindful. But let's check out what we're actually seeing here. Now, again, this is all on the scan.9mm.pro website. So if you're seeing something that may look a little different from what you may be seeing on your own, this is just good food for thought as well. Yeah, for sure. Hey, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yeah, exactly. We do have a new Explorer now, finally. There are actually communities such as GoPulse.com, which is planning on making their own Explorer, because roughly if you're trying to, I guess, get the Etherscan Explorer setup that they have for their own block Explorer, I think it's like $100,000 a month that you have to pay for their layout, and that way you can implement it into your own blockchain if you wanted to do it. But you know, Richard Hart had his devs and everyone actually come through with scan.pulsechain.com. It does what it needs to for now. It had some issues that still make it. I will say finding out your transactions are a bit of a pain in the ass. I was going through with my Patreon peeps. I was going through and just trying to show them how to track their DCAs and when they may have made a purchase and how to go through and find what that purchase was at that time. And I will tell you right now, folks, it is not just like as simple as scan. Or etherscan.io. It doesn't just give you like you transferred this amount of DAI for this amount of pulse and bam, this happened on this day. Good to go. No, I mean, you got to dive in on that sucker in order to make it make sense. So I'm really hoping that we end up getting some more blockchain explorers. And as Optimality just said, love that we do have a new explorer as well. So I was just kind of coming through here, right? I want to see some token transfers and I want to see kind of like what they're actually getting into. Are they actually staying active? So 4 days, 5 days, 4 days, 5 days, so on and so forth. Now, again, we can see at this point, they did have roughly about some HEX on this one. Okay, cool. This actually provides the token. I love this. So it actually shows you the token that they actually have, token burning, token minting. So at this point in time, what that means is it looks like they had a stake end, which means that they actually minted the HEX from their stake, which is anything coming from a null address, which is all zeros. And that's the address coming from the mint address from the HEX contract. And then it actually mints it inside your wallet when you end your stake. So they had a stake going. I don't know how much it was initially. I can probably go back and find out. But they minted roughly about 634 million HEX tokens. And then they actually went and staked it right away again. And you can see that by going to see here, token burning. This wallet actually sent it back to a null address, which actually means they restaked the entire amount. Now, what's really cool about this is you can come over here to this website or this, you can copy over the wallet address inside. And what I love about it is you can actually come on over. There's a app that you can use. Let me unlock my MetaMask here so I can connect it real quick. Let me just unlock. Here we go. So you can actually use a little thing called Custom HEX. And I use this just to see some items that actually ended up happening. And you'll see exactly what I mean by this. So we can come in here to go.hex.com, the main staking hex website. This is an extension that you can use called Custom Hex. You can get it at customhex.com, and you can find out how you get the ability. But what you can do is paste in that address, and what it allows you to do is, well, if it actually pulled up on this one, am I on PulseChain right now? Give me, oh yeah, I'm on PulseChain here. Yeah, I mean, that should suffice there. One additional moment here while I pull up some information. Well, while that's loading, I'm going to go over here and actually see. This was probably the one that they just ended up staking. You can see they only have one stake at this point in time, giving them 24,000 T shares. They earn roughly about 163,000 hex per day, or just that day, which is on average how much you get per stake that you get, right? Which is like 6.5 hex per T share, and they have 24,000 T shares, giving them 163,000 hex per day, meaning they have a total at this point in time, when they first started, already at 634 million. Now they're already at 635 million. Estimated value is roughly about $2 million that they actually staked. So they actually took it. Now, granted, you can see past T shares, they used to have quite a bit, but the average stake length that they do is roughly about 4 weeks. So they're running a 30-day stake. Now, if you have this much hex, you can make plenty of good money, even with the current prices at these levels right now. So if you're earning 163,000 per day, and you do that over the span of 30 days, they're getting roughly about 4.9 million hex per month by actually just staking that out. And that's what allows them to continue to accumulate. And on the PulseChain side right now, the hex price is roughly around 6 cents, give or take a couple of pennies. Not 6 cents, that would be incredible. 0.6 of a penny, which is actually going to be estimated at this point in time of $29,000 a month that they're earning by staking and doing a 30-day stake. So even though this is how you can really benefit, they are benefiting quite a bit, where they actually end up making that hex, instead of selling it for the 2 million right now at these prices, they can end up accruing $30,000 a month at these prices right now. Just imagine when we start getting up into the 10x higher, even reaching 6 cents again, like I just mentioned a moment ago, where you end up accumulating somewhere in the ballpark of $300,000 a month. Do that over the span of a year, and you're looking pretty damn good, right? Almost $4 million a year that you'd be making, even just hex reaching 6 cents, should they continue to do this rolling 30-day stake, which it seems like they've been doing for quite a little bit of time on this one. I wasn't able to see the previous stakes, which is kind of interesting. Let me see if I can refresh this page. Maybe custom hex doesn't work on the Ethereum side or on the PulseChain side, unfortunately. So let me see if I can pull up this information for the Ethereum network to see if they have any stakes over there. And while that's loading, let me see what's going on with some chat folks once again. So hello, beautiful people. Yeah, weird. So it's not showing up. Maybe I need to go find information on that one. But yeah, and very interesting on that. Where is, I don't know where my StreamYard is. Oh, here it is. Interesting. Okay, cool. I was going to see what's going on with the chat. What's going on? Hello, nice to catch you. Got a call? We'll re-listen later, of course. Thank you so much. Great stream yesterday. Thanks so much. Checks my pulse. 1 trillion pulse costs 71 racks currently. Yep, 71,000 gets you 1 trillion pulse, which to the people who got that kind of cash, you can accumulate quite a bit of a bag. I've seen someone say they got, a billion pulse the other day for roughly about $9,800. Which is really good stuff if you have the money. Or if you just think about it, like if you had an extra $1,000 a month and you had the ability to span that out over the course of the next 9 to 12 months, that you can put into the PulseChain ecosystem and the Pulse price and the product of Pulse, or the crypto of Pulse, then you can accumulate potentially a billion pulse that way as well. So you can either get it with one fell swoop, or you can go with the DCA strategy of consistent overall DCA amount. Whales are the only ones dumping just now. Yeah, whales actually control quite a bit of the price as well. Hex Lambo racing this weekend. Oh, there you go. Cool, Chris X. I was hoping for something like Etherscan, Gas Guzzler Screener to go up though. Yeah, for sure. Crypto Gains Club. Hello, my brother. To the Pulse top holders, OA type wallets, similarly to Hex. The Pulse top holder, yeah, for some of the top holders, but again, not all. You can see that it's definitely not all, because we've seen in the past, like right now, we don't have this particular wallet going through and staking where you have the OA address doing something like that, because this is kind of the top wallets that you see. And this person's a busy beaver, if you ask me. And this is something that you typically wouldn't see from an OA address. You would see something in the ballpark of a few transactions. Something like this would be more likely, where you may get a couple of transactions, 3 here, 7 here, 10 here, but 270, 578, 745, 513. I just don't think the OA address is really doing that at this point in time. You got a lot of eyes on the product, and they're not trying to extract anything from it. They haven't moved anything from the sacrifice funds. So yes, there are some OA wallets in here. Probably more likely some of these top ones right here, 1 trillion, 1 trillion, all these top ones. But again, you start getting into the billions and millions here down below, or the billions of tokens here, they end up getting into a little bit of a different game. So yeah, very interesting stuff when you end up looking at it from there. They're actually going through and earning quite a bit of HEX, and this is why I like diving in, y'all. This is why I do what I do, right? This is what allowed me, when I first got into HEX, the ability to see everything, because it's fully transparent. It's all on the blockchain, and blockchain is freedom of speech. It's written on a ledger. It's open for the public to see. It's very simple, and that simple is what I love. It's transparent. You can see what's going on. You know who has what. You could even see people's stakes when they're ending the stakes. You can make your own ladder strategy based on other people's setup as well. So it is quite a bit of a thing. And again, this is just something that I do quite enjoy. Now let's just check out the next wallet here. This is again going back to PulseChain. Whoops. While that one decided to, oh, it scared me. Okay, cool. Here we go. All right. Well, while that's loading once again, it's probably just re-indexing the whole Explorer. Oh no! Of course, it had to happen while I was streaming. You already know that's how it goes. So this is kind of what you may anticipate if you are using something kind of a little bit brand new at this point in time. You can continue to refresh, but again, I would at this point in time either keep on waiting at this point for it to show up. Yeah, let me see if I can get something else going here. Give me one moment while that pulls up here. And maybe we don't use scan.9mm.pro at this point in time to show off the video. Now, that's a downside to using something that's brand new. You may end up getting a little bit of a hiccup. There might be a lot of people trying to use the network, which actually puts a lot of strain on the server as well. So that way everyone has an idea of what's going on. You end up getting a little bit of the strain on the server, but just food for thought for everyone, right? Let's just kind of keep it simple like that. What else do we have? Give me 1 second. Yeah, it's a little tricky to read for sure, dude. It's beyond tricky. It is a pain in the ass to try to go through and figure out your overall amount to see what your true average might possibly be. So if that is something that you're looking forward to or looking into, again, I did break it down through the Patreon video like we do every single week. We do a weekly call where you can actually go in and learn quite a bit of information about liquidity providing, about yield farming, about how to earn some passive income, about how to set up, when to take profits, and all that as well. Yeah, exactly. Please, bro, don't promote PLSX. I want to buy at lower prices. TDM, I want a 4,000X. Well, at this point in time, like let's just keep it real for sure. I would say we probably end up getting a little bit better prices coming here in the very near future based on what I'm seeing. I don't really see a whole bunch of stuff happening in terms of like rumors going on. Now, if we start getting stuff like either V3, PulseX, which allows us to do limit orders, which allow us to do single-sided staking, which allow us to do other mechanisms behind it besides just trading tokens and using it as an explorer that way, then I think we end up getting a little bit of hype. But I think what we need is rumors first, right? And that's like, we don't have the rumors right now. So you don't have to really worry about me just mentioning PulseX. I just don't think me saying it is going to stop whales from stopping and doing what they're doing. There's one whale in particular, and your friend Sami did a post about it as well, where they are just continuing to dump, and they got billions upon billions upon billions of PulseX. I think they have something in the ballpark of 250 billion PulseX or somewhere in that ballpark, and that's quite a bit. So they have quite a bit of power if they actually wanted to continue to dump as they have been, and they look to continue to dump as well. So it's not something that, you know, I don't really have any control over at all. Unfortunately, I can't stop the whales, man. As much as I would say, instead of you dumping, why don't you just buy? Like, they got a lot of dry capital, as a matter of fact, and we're going to be diving into some of that as well over here. So let's just check out, since the 9mm website doesn't want to work right now, or it may just be a little bit busy at this point. Let's just check out some PulseX holders as well and see what they got going on. So at this point, we actually have the PulseX holders coming through. This is the PulseX contract. You can see the total supply, 142 trillion at this point. And ideally, you just come down to token holders. And I'm just going to kind of skip through and skip down to a couple of them. We know some of the bigger ones are going to be, again, possibly the OA. So I don't really want to worry so much as to what they might be doing. But if I can open up some of these other little accounts, you can see one in particular where they ended up doing this one here, where they ended up doing a few different transactions. They have roughly about 99,000 Pulse in their head, or in their wallet. They have 6 billion PulseX, no, trillion. Okay, so we got 1,000, million, billion, trillion. So they have 6 trillion PulseX within this particular token here. And I was just going through and seeing it. What they ended up doing, and you can, this is how you can break down the Explorer chain, which again, pain in the ass to do. But you can see they did a transfer on this one, which means they sent it over to possibly a different wallet, which is what it essentially ended up doing. We have the main address of AC76, and that's going to be right here of AC76. They actually ended up moving 3 billion PulseX into this wallet. And it got me thinking, what did they do with that 3 billion tokens from 3 months ago, right? So I opened up this new wallet, and as I actually dove in on this new wallet, you can actually see all the tokens that they're holding. And you can come in here, and this is a degen or condom wallet if ever I've seen one. So basically at this point, they don't really seem to be holding any more PulseX. So that 3 billion that they actually once had, they ended up using to fund possibly all of these shit tokens that they ended up getting, in the anticipation that there could be something happening out of all of them. Now they took 3 billion PulseX, folks, and moved it into buy all of these shit tokens. If you ask me, these are meme tokens if ever I've seen, especially being that most of y'all, for me especially, I've never heard of anything. Yorkshire Inu, Schrodinger, Hachiko, like you got the little cat, which is that little Japanese cat. If you've seen the good luck thing, I think that's what that cat's called, the Hachiko. You got Ouroboros, Gold Inu. Like, come on, man. This person's doing what they can to just try to be a degen, but obviously they have quite a bit of Pulse, unfortunately, or quite a bit of PulseX. They had over 1 trillion, if we just counted correctly. And now at this point in time, they're still sitting on quite a bit of the PulseX, or it's quite a bit of these tokens here. So I thought this was kind of funny, because this is exactly what you see. You see a whole bunch of degens, and this is their little condom wallet that you can see. Now you can go to the next page. Look how many things that they have bought with that little condom wallet right here. They basically took all of it and just bought a whole bunch of tokens just in case one of them ends up coming out ahead and one of them ends up doing something. Guys, there are so many freaking garbage tokens in here, if you ask me. But again, this person is willing to do so in the off chance that even just maybe one of these does better than PulseX. Now, that's something I wouldn't mess with. Maybe this token I would. I kid, not financial advice, but you can see like this person has a whole bunch of tokens that they ended up doing. And so very curious to see, unfortunately. And that's kind of how I saw that particular wallet. Next wallet that I looked at as well, which is this one right here. This was another wallet that just came through, and y'all let me know what y'all's thoughts are on this. Do you like, if you got 1 trillion tokens and you took 3 billion of it, that's obviously 3% of the overall amount of tokens that you have. Very small amount. Now, do the same thing if you're going to go and have a condom wallet yourself. You can see this person didn't sell all, or didn't move all into a condom wallet. They took a portion, 3% of their wallet, 3% of their portfolio, and then use that to fund all the degen plays that they are going to do. Now, if you got $10,000, if you got $1,000, if you got $5,000, should you really be taking 3% or 5% in order to try to go make some of these plays? You can, but that would turn somewhere in the ballpark of $50 into like $500, which, don't get me wrong, is a 10x, and that's helpful for a lot of people. For a lot of people, you can make $500 up fairly quickly. I mean, heck, UPS right now is offering jobs starting at like $175,000 a year, right? And so if you just break that down monthly, that's $14,500 a month. Breaking it down daily, that's roughly about $500 a day. So you can make up something like that within a simple job type play. Like that's not enough to really affect your life, your quality of life, how you live, what you can do. So be mindful about if you are going through, and this is something that people are doing, is to play some of these plays. Now, this person, again, does have quite a bit of PulseX. Once again, they haven't really touched it ever since. They did come from the first null or mint address when it first happened and PulseChain launched 4 months ago, and they were given a trillion PulseX. They haven't done anything really since. I'm not really counting some of these tokens because sometimes these will just show up. Yes, it does say a transfer a month ago, so maybe they didn't end up buying 10 million Azon tokens on here. But it's just really curious to see because they don't really have too much Pulse. They have a trillion PulseX. So it's wild when you start looking at some of this stuff because I'm a believer in all of the RH ecosystem. I have Pulse, I have PulseX, I have HEX, I have HEX on Ethereum. I got them all. I got stakes done. I got ladders set up for both chains on PulseChain and on Ethereum. And not only that, I have multiple wallets that I actually have ladders staked on both of them to cover my ass in case something does end up happening, like me clicking it on a malicious DApp and me just giving up all funds and me getting screwed somehow, some way, some shape. I don't want to be in that situation and try to have to recoup it all. So if I had a trillion tokens, one, I would probably end up moving them into a few different wallets. I've always said this in the past when PulseChain first launched, at least move it into 2 different wallets, half and half. If you got 500 billion on one, 500 billion on another, you still got a trillion, brother. So you don't have to try to like make out of it or make something different with it. But I share this information because you see this happen so many freaking times, especially with these particular entities. This person, once again, has 970 billion PulseX. So I can just kind of see, I don't want to see the token transfers. Let's see, they are not busy at all. This is a wallet that's not really doing too much. So I'm not really going to get too crazy on this particular wallet. Again, I'm just looking through some whale wallets today, y'all. Again, if y'all are new or checking in and seeing what's happening right now, this is just kind of what's going on. See, I see the same 10 million Azon, and I wonder if that's even just something that they actually ended up doing, because that's the second time or third time I've seen it within the wallet. So I start kind of getting a little curious if that's actually someone transferring or buying this token, or if it's something that they actually ended up doing it. Looks like this is a Go Pulse token, so maybe that is what it is, right, on that one, and maybe they're just trying to support for the Go Pulse team or something like that. Again, I haven't dove into that particular token on it at this point in time. Yeah, so it looks like most of them are through the Azon, which is kind of funny that most of them are going through and buying up that particular token on that. So let's just go back and see some more wallets over here. Let me just kind of scroll on down. So let's go into the, we'll say what, 100 billion tokens. Let's get there. So if we get to 100 billion PulseX tokens, that's going to be a couple of pages away. Okay. Oh, I just passed it. So 100 billion, probably somewhere on this page. Yeah, cool. So we're going to look at some wallet right here, which has 100 billion PulseX tokens at this point in time. Again, I found this by going to scan.pulsechain.com, and you can actually go into the PulseX contract, go into token holders, and see it from there. If y'all have missed some of this, again, this is something that I used to do quite often. I would look to see, are they staked? Are they not staked? Do they have any stakes done? Or do they have anything going at this point in time? I'm always very curious. This is how I actually ended up learning and got into it all in the very beginning. So they have majority of their tokens in PulseX. They have 41 billion Pulse tokens as well. They have roughly some SciVive, War Room, Call of Duty token. I don't know all of these ones. Some of these are just garbage. They just show up in your wallet, like this Minerium 32 is something that will show up for a lot of the wallets. A lot of y'all will actually have this particular one in your wallet. Don't worry about trying to interact. Don't worry about trying to do anything with it. You just let it sit there. It is what it is. You don't have to mess with it. You don't have to do anything with it. But let's see some transactions real quick. Whoops. Some token transfers. So what has this particular entity been doing 8 days ago, a month ago? So they're not really too active on here. This is pretty much to be expected at this point. Some of the tokens that they're getting are just going to be what they end up having. Again, some of these will just show up as well. Like this Minerium 32 sent this into this particular wallet. So again, this doesn't always end up happening, but this is where you're going to get a lot of these little shite tokens that end up coming out. Just so that way y'all end up having a better idea. You got the Love, BBTC, yeah, and some of these other tokens here. So interesting to see that they kind of got all that going on. I don't really want to worry about too much on this one, love.io. Cool. Well, that's going to be that particular wallet. What's going on with the next wallet? Now, again, this is someone with 100 billion PulseX tokens is what we're looking at, by the way, right now. So right now we have someone looking at 101 billion PulseX tokens sitting on 14 billion Pulse tokens. They do have roughly about 15 tokens where they have other ones as well. So we can come on down here. I do like just sometimes seeing some of these plays. They ended up staking right here. You can see Once again, you know it got staked because one, it got burned. You can see it right away. It says burning, minting. So they had a stake in 261 million. They restaked it and actually did another 261 million. So now, just for fun, let's pull up this particular wallet by going into copy, going back into the staker stakehex.today website, and you can actually come on in and see the overall amount of the stakes that they also have done there too. So let me go back in here. Go Oh, not projected. Now maybe y'all can help me. So there's no real way of stakehex.today. Is there a way to get this flipped over into the PulseChain? And maybe I just have to connect a wallet. So let me see. I have a dummy wallet right now anyway. So let's see if that is in fact going to be the case, because I'm curious to see if this also allows it, because right now it's only showing it anything that's on the Ethereum network is basically what we're looking at for stakehex.today. So I can't even go through and necessarily find out what stakes they currently have set up at this point. Let me see if I can find another way. 1 second, y'all. Oh. All right. And say what's up to some chat folks real quick. Don't promote it. Yeah, I've seen that. What's going on, Kaitsa? How you doing, brother? Rugburn calling you. How you doing, brother? Great stream last night with Access and Crispy. Thank you so much. Love the new look, bro. Sick. Thank you again. I love that whale. yeah, there's a whale dumping. What's up, Westcott? Guys, we're going to be having the Pulse Nation episode number 37, if I'm not mistaken, tomorrow. So be sure to tune in. Be sure to like, share, subscribe for myself and Westcott. We got the co-host, Westcott Crypto, in the chat right now as well. Dump it. Does PulseX bring down PulseChain? Yes, it does, Chad. Through liquidity and through bonding and through Hart's Law, because PulseX is heavily, and I do mean heavily, tied in liquidity with PulseChain. Yes, the movements that you do see are going to impact and affect each other, which is why we are getting roughly about this 1-to-4 ratio that we end up seeing. And you can actually come on down in here once again for GoPulse.com. If y'all haven't gone to this website, phenomenal website once again, you can actually come in here and see that the PulseX is roughly about a 1 to close to 4 ratio at this point. So meaning that for every one PulseChain, you get 3.82 PulseX tokens, or vice versa. For every 4 tokens here, you get 1 token here for PulseChain. So that's basically what that's saying right now. And you can see they move very similar in terms of price, in terms of movement. And a lot of the stuff through all this is actually tied very heavily through liquidity. So we got HEX price on PulseChain currently sitting on 20666. Current price on the Ethereum side, 2033. Because right now it's close to a damn near 1-to-2 ratio, meaning that on the HEX side, or any hex on the Ethereum side, you get 2 over there for every 1 hex over here. Now, we've looked at this in the past, and I'll pull it up briefly once again, is the actual ratios between the two pairs. So let's just pull it up once again and take another little gander, since we're talking about ratios right now anyways. So you come on over to Dex Screener and you can find this information out. Go up here, switch the price from USDC back into HEX so it compares against each other at this point in time. And you can see this is kind of exactly where you can end up getting. Now, we just broke into the little range once again. We're actually broke down here. This is a great little opportunity for you to possibly potentially swap some of your PHEX into EHEX. You can do that here and swap that ratio, let everything play out. And if everything comes back, even just up to this little range or anywhere up here, you can then swap your EHEX back into PHEX or HEX on PulseChain and end up getting quite a bit more on that side, doing that little trade, doing that little ratio swap as well. So that's basically the level that we're at right now. We're still right above it. So I think at this point, it's still a pretty good ratio. If you ask me, I'll just leave it right there. We still have a pretty good ratio. We are going to probably end up doing something like this, where it ends up kind of coming down, and ends up coming on down. Yeah, let me just leave it like that. It ends up coming down here possibly, and then comes back up here. This could be a great time to swap. It's just something to pay attention to, folks. Something to pay attention to. But yes, to answer the question, Chad, yes. Anything associated with these cryptos in particular are going to affect each other, and they're going to tie together through liquidity and through bonding as well. Now, over the weekend, I want y'all to pay attention. Over the weekend, we got down as low as like $7 Gwei, which if y'all have any stakes done at this point in time on the Ethereum side, my freaking goodness, what a killer time. I had not seen below 10 Gwei in forever. So what a phenomenal opportunity to transact. If you are transacting on the Ethereum side, pay attention to the Gwei. Right now, it's because the prices and because the Gwei has gone down lower in the past week, especially, I would not transact at this point in time on the Ethereum network. I would let things play out as they are. I would wait and pay attention to this particular one. You can actually just look up here and find out what the Gwei currently is, or you can just get a little Gwei tracker on your phone for the Ethereum side. Many different things can happen. But yeah, that way you have an idea as well. So give me 1 second here and we'll come back around to the chat. And then we'll look at some of the HEX whale addresses too. So let me say what's up to some more beautiful people. We have safe on PulseChain now too. Is that like Gnosis safe? What's the what's safe? I guess I just don't know what that is off the top of my head. My bad for the confusion. Maybe you can help me out, Optimality. He can dump 1 billion PulseX per day for 3 years. Good luck with that. Yeah, he definitely can. Dude got 1 trillion PulseX. I know. Numbers so baffling that my mind doesn't even understand how to process a number so big. And what's crazy is even right now, like to break it down, if you were to, I'll actually just type it in. Let's just see. Let's just switch network back over to the PulseChain side real quick. Yeah, dude got 1 trillion PulseX. Yeah, let me switch network back to PulseChain over here real fast. And I want to see how much that actually ends up costing to get something done. So let's just see exactly how that works. So we're going to go die. We're going to go 1, 2, 3. That's 1,000. Oh, yeah, we got commas. Billion, trillion. I mean, shit, it doesn't even give you a freaking dollar amount. $9 million, though, is a basic breakdown. It doesn't even do that for the DAI because there's not enough liquidity to provide a move like that. If you were to try to buy 1 trillion tokens right now, you're going to get wrecked. Same thing would happen if you tried to sell 1 trillion tokens. You would get decimated, and I do mean decimated because I can come in here and you can see this starts out at $9 million up here, and at the end of all the slippage, you would get 161,000 if you tried to do one move like that. So I don't think that would be a good play at all. But yeah, $9 million right now, that's pretty damn good at the current prices, right? Like that's freaking wild. And we are below SAC by a good 10x already or 100x already at this point. Yeah, so good stuff there. Good stuff. What else we got? Let me see. What else we got? Yeah, 1 trillion PulseX tokens. My God. Bro, why are you showing my wallet? Wasn't 2 trillion total PulseX without OA? There you go. 21 trillion. Yeah, exactly. It's a massive amount. Yeah, if you look at GoPulse.com, you can actually see that shit is mostly wallet drainers. There you go. Yeah, it definitely is. For those little additional items, do not interact with any random airdrops. That shit is definitely, like Optimality is saying right here, wallet drainers for sure. If you try to interact with them, you could just end up getting decimated and screw yourself. So be very careful of that. Yes, the overall supply of PulseX is 21 trillion. And imagine being one of the people with 1 trillion tokens yourself. Like, fuck, that's wild. That's actually so much on that one. Mr. Chuck, do you think FTX liquidation will be the last big dip before the bull run? Any chance there's some backroom deal for all the Grayscale, BlackRock, big ETF buyers to scoop it up and avoid a big dip? I think most of the people are already kind of factoring in that whole situation happening for like Bitcoin in particular, right? So I don't think it's the last big dip personally. As crazy as that may end up being, I think we still have a little bit of some downside to go as well. And I'll pull this up real fast in the past, but right now most items are taking longer and longer and longer. And so you can see this is a quick chart of Bitcoin from all time from the previous and the past. And you can see when it first started, this is that little parabola that Richard Hart talks about. When it breaks out of it, it ends up being a bear market for a period of time. And then it goes back up, bull market, breaks out of it. Once it falls out of the parabola, bear market, and then goes back up, falls out. And this is basically how he was able to call the top whenever he ended up calling it around this time. He was probably looking back here when he ended up making that call. But he was looking at it from a parabola standpoint, saying it fell out of its parabola. And in fact, if we actually end up breaking this down, whoops, I'll have to draw that again later. But if we end up breaking this down, what we're seeing just right off the bat and right off the jump, just so that way everyone can kind of end up seeing as well, is we're taking longer and longer and longer to actually get back into the bear market or bull market time for it to extend out. So what I'm anticipating is that we end up getting over here for the bull market, and we're in this January 2026, February 2026 range for this to end up falling in. Do the stream with Access Alive yesterday, we also looked at the the banner cycle theory, which basically just means that right now 2026 is going to be showing to be a great time to end up making some profits on the overall system and ecosystem as well. So you can actually come on in here and see, whoops, and see if I actually pull this up in particular. Let me just click on the actual page here. Here we go, share, cool. There we go. Now we got the full on image. Cool. So basically what we're looking at on this one, and I'll just kind of zoom in, is he's basically saying that anything in the C range is years of hard time, low prices, and good time to buy. Anything in the B range is years of good times, high prices, and time to sell. Years of A is just panic, and whenever something happens that like a little freak occurrence type deal happens, and you can see we got World War over here, you got the whole market happening, you got the Y2K happening around this time, you got C19 happening around here. This is all the top part of what ended up happening. Next one's anticipated to be 2035. This thing's pretty spot on as well, folks. You can come back down here and find good times to end up buying. 2005 was a great time to end up buying a whole bunch of stuff down here, anything within this range. 2012 was another phenomenal year. We're back to 2023 being a phenomenal year to buy. So we are in this range right here, and it's showing that come 2026, we're going to end up being a nice little bullish indicator over here. So that's kind of what I'm paying attention to based on this little cycle over here for the banner cycle theory that we just talked about. We have 2023 to be a great year to accumulate. We have 2026 to be a great time to potentially sell. And hopefully by then you've been able to make a fuck ton of profits. And that way y'all have done very well for yourself as well. I just wanted to share that chart to anyone who may be actually wanting to see some information on that. I think we are going to get into the 2026 range. I don't think we have enough to fully get out of this. I think for the most part, people have already bought who wanted to buy. We have a whole bunch of like Vanguard and everyone else is already buying like mining equipment for Bitcoin, and all these other people are doing a whole bunch of other stuff, messing with it all. So I wouldn't really worry about it too much. Obviously, if it does happen, there could be one last big dip. I don't know if it's one last big dip though, because there's typically always something for whatever reason. Anyone know when Fetch Oracle optimality make me laugh, bro? Oh my gosh. Safe is what Gnosis Safe renamed to. Oh, is it really? No shit. I didn't know that. I've always just called it Gnosis Safe. That's too funny. I've known it as Safe, and I knew that they had their own airdrop as well to anyone who used the Gnosis Safe wallet, especially using the Staker app. You can actually log into the Gnosis Safe if you ever want to. David Feder has a really good video about how to use that information. I don't really hear too many people talking too much about the Staker app so much anymore. So very curious to see what ends up happening. In fact, I haven't really heard too much from like Steph or anyone in that regard either. But no, I mean, back to the Fetch Oracle. No, I mean, there's nothing happening anytime soon on the Fetch Oracle, unfortunately. On-chain MFA wallet. There you go. Yep. Multi-factor authentication is what MFA stands for. I believe it was Liquid Loan guys who deployed it to us. Okay, cool. I love that chart because it seems so accurate. It really, really does. Optimality. Yeah, Safe is that heat. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I'm very curious to see what ends up happening as well, because we got Liquid Loans who keep telling us that an update of an update of an update of an update. And again, it's just one of those, here's an announcement of announcement of announcement of announcement, which could be good and beneficial if it actually launched and there was just more announcements coming in the future and things to be building on. But basically what they're trying to do is almost make it so that way when it launches, you aren't going to get any more announcements. And I don't really think that's the best way to go about doing it personally, because that's just a sell the news event type situation that's going to end up happening. I think a whole bunch of people are going to get themselves completely wrecked because of their liquidation and collateralization ratios through their liquidity protocol or liquid loans protocol or whatever you want to call it. So curious to see what ends up happening. They already have a new thing coming out right now, or not. They don't have it out right now. There's a new program out that actually allows you to do single-sided staking with PulseChain at this point in time and with your DAI, your wrapped DAI coins as well, and that's coming from SparkSwap.xyz. I'll briefly touch on this, and then we'll be wrapping up here. But this is just kind of one of those things that as we go through and check it out, you can go to SparkSwap.xyz, coming from AJ, the founder of EMP.money on the BSC chain. You can go into the pools and actually do single-sided staking in here. Put up your pulse in here. You do have to make it wrapped first, just FYI. There is a fee as well. Keep that in mind. There's a deposit fee of 4%, 4%. And withdrawal fee on both. So if you are messing with these protocols, make sure that you make up enough to make up the difference of it. You can see right now this number has gone down. Whenever I first looked at it, I think it was 4,000% APR. And then it went down to 1,400% APR, and then it was 1,000% APR, and now it's sitting at 164% APR. And I think that was within the span of 3 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. So I do anticipate this to probably keep on going down. So don't make this to be the exact number. This actually has gone down quite drastically from where it once was, but it does have the ability to do single-sided staking as well. Does Safe have a dollar value yet? Market value? I don't know. Let's find out. Does it actually have any dollar value at all at this point in time? Trading. Here we go. Safe. I don't even know if I'm going to get the right safe on that one because there's, I'm sure, a ton of different tokens named safe. So I don't want to mess with that too much. If you have the answer, okay, cool. Optimality. Thank you so much for that. I was like, I don't know. There's so many things that actually have safe, unfortunately, as the name on that one. And let's take a little gander over here at the actual HEX contract as well. And this will be the last little thing that we'll look at. And this is the wallet tracker for the HEX. Again, I went to etherscan.io and I just typed in the HEX contract. Again, you can just type in HEX right here. Go on down to holders, and you can see that list of top 1,000 holders. We have 350 billion HEX. That's pretty much locked up, and hopefully doesn't anticipate anywhere moving anywhere at this point in time. And even with the current prices, still valued pretty high. And you can see we have the bridge holding majority of it. So let's just scroll on down to where we're back into like the 500,000 range for anyone holding liquid HEX at this point in time. Sitting on $500,000 is still quite a bit of money, liquid HEX at this point in time. So I'm always curious if this person is staked at all, if they have done anything like that as well. They did end up just minting this HEX. You can see they ended up doing a stake start roughly about 1,028 days ago on the November of 2020, where they ended up staking it. They did a stake for 5 days, it would seem, and then they ended it, and they haven't really done anything with it since. So they're just sitting on 150. Hey, if that's what they want to do, they're just sitting on 153,000 or 153 million HEX tokens that they're just sitting on and they haven't done anything with. This wallet hasn't really moved since 2020. So curious to see if they are going to end up doing something. They do have some transactions that, again, I'm not really paying attention to so much on these tokens here because these are all kind of shy tokens you'll see. Token has poor reputation score. Please be careful when choosing to interact with this token. They do give you some sort of warning. But for the most part, like you said, if you see some of this little garbage tokens, don't really pay too much attention to it. That doesn't necessarily mean they got it. Sometimes this shit just shows up in your wallet. You just don't have to interact with it and all will be good. But for the most part, they haven't really touched their wallet quite a bit of time. So that person sitting on a lot of liquid HEX, hopefully they're still alive. Hopefully they're still with us. And yeah, hopefully they come back and, you know, benefit in the future. Or just maybe they're in a coma and they're going to wake up 10 years from now happier than they ever were because they just had it sitting there and not in some garbage token. So, anyways, reach the maximum limit for the REITs. What did I just click on? So this is another wallet that just has 500,000 or 500 million, $500,000 worth of tokens, which is roughly about 152 million HEX at this point in time. Again, sitting pretty liquid on this one, not really doing too much. Same information. Is this the same exact wallet? Did I click on that sucker twice? Nope, two different wallets. How is that even possible? It must be the same wallet. Let's just assume it has the same wallet. That could be an OA wallet. We'll just leave it like that. So I don't want to get too crazy with that particular one because that probably means that it's OA at that point in time. And, you know, there's no point in really seeing what the OA is doing because the OA really doesn't do too much. Let's pull up a couple other wallets that have roughly about $400,000 sitting inside there. And I just want to see if they have any stakes or anything done at this point. This is something that I used to do quite often. If y'all have seen the channel in the past, this is what I would do is I would just go in here, find out what they're actually doing with their tokens. Are they transferring? Are they moving? Are they trading? Again, this is another situation where they haven't really done anything minted. So these all seem to be 2020. So I'd have to go back and find some wallets that actually don't necessarily fall under this same protocol. And I think these are all pretty similar in what they're doing right here. Let's just take another little gander here. Yep, minted roughly about November of 2020, I assume. Yep, November of 2020. So it looks like I'd have to go into the far pages of it. So let's just go into someone who's currently sitting on, we'll say 250,000. I think that should be a good number where we get rid of the OA and don't have to worry about, necessarily being the OA, because they haven't really done anything since November of 2022, which is basically right before the whole big payday ended up happening. They got the whole stake. They staked it for a few days, got a whole little thing, and then just moved on and kept on going with their life. So these are people with currently 300,000. I think this could be a good one. Let's just go in here and open up a few of these wallets in here. Close. Cool. And let's actually see some people who are going to probably be normal folk and not necessarily just the OA address, because I do like seeing some items that they may end up doing. Sitting liquid over here. Tell me this isn't a freaking OA. Yep, November of 2020. Yep. So, dude, I'd have to go in and find quite a bit. These are all people from November of 2022. It seems like no matter which one I look at, for the top freaking 1,000 holders, it almost feels like at this point in time I've just gone through and found a few, but we're on 500 now. And I know the OA definitely has plenty of wallets or daughter addresses, and we know that to be the case. Who knows, in fact, if they are, it's very tough to end up proving this kind of stuff. So let's just see if I can just find someone who's sitting on, we'll go to page 20. Oh, let's go to last page, very bottom. Tell me this isn't a freaking daughter address, because if it is, then yeah, we'll definitely stop looking at the HEX, because I want to see what they're actually doing with the amount of money that they are sitting on right now, or if they're doing anything in particular. And if they aren't really doing anything in particular, then yeah, it doesn't really serve the purpose of what we're hoping for. And this is the same thing. It looks like they had a stake done. November of 2020 is my guess. Yep, November of 2020. So yeah, we're going to stop looking at that. Unfortunately, that's just a downside to when you end up doing that kind of stuff. Are we doing chain analysis? Yeah, we sure are. How you doing, Alan Fizame, my brother? What's up, Hexkins? How you doing, 10 Top? Got to go to an appointment. Much love, dude. Appreciate you as well, Optimality. Thanks for coming through. Alan, yes, sir. They are probably going to sacrifice more to BankX. That's too funny. Yeah, I mean, there was a wallet in particular, one of the Godwell wallets that Alan's referring to, where they just sacrificed to BankX, and then BankX just like perma dumped it for a while, and they might still be perma dumping. Who knows? I haven't looked at that in quite some time. It's not something that's really piqued my interest or piqued my curiosity at this point, but I could definitely see that being the case. Oh shit, dude, that's too funny, Alan. You always coming through with the fun laugh, man. I appreciate the fun laugh that I get as well. Gents, ladies and gentlemen, it seems like at this point in time, we got some people doing a couple of different things. We got some of them doing some DGen plays and using their condom wallets. And if you are going to do it, you can see they did it with a very small amount of their bag, 3 to 5% of their portfolio. Unless you got billions upon billions upon billions of tokens, it's probably not worth doing some DGen plays. I keep hearing all the people say, hey, like, I just need to hop into this one and make up my losses. And that is a very, very dangerous game to play, folks. So if that is something that you feel you are doing yourself, be very cautious and mindful of what you're actually doing. Most of the time when you're buying tokens at all-time high, when a token's making new all-time highs or near all-time high, it usually doesn't end well, and you usually end up being a bag holder for that particular token because you think it's going to go up. Even if it dips 50% again, you end up bag holding because it's a meme coin that you think is just going to continue to raise and raise and raise. So just be careful about that. Be mindful of it. Just be curious into all of it as well. Yes, sir, Alan Fizame. Dude, I appreciate it. For real, Alan. Like, for real, man. Much love to you. But gents, ladies and gentlemen, I hope everyone has a fantastic day. Be sure to tune in tomorrow during the Pulse Nation episode 37 with myself, Westcott Crypto. We're going to be having a fun guest on. Looking forward to that, and check y'all tomorrow. Peace.